Hey YouTube, what's up? Dr. T here, and welcome to my hometown, St. Petersburg, Florida. We are located on the central west coast of Florida by Tampa Bay and in the Gulf of Mexico on the west side of the county. Take a minute to have a look at St. Petersburg in all its wonders, a piece of paradise to live in. If you are new to my channel, take a look around. You will find everything for one-stop shopping in the playlists. As you may or not know, DeepMind, an AI startup back in 2014, was acquired by Google on the back of its Atari game publications and the introduction of their deep learning algorithm, a hybrid in the deep learning neural net and reinforcement space. DeepMind subsequently gave Google an algorithm to improve the energy efficiency of their data centers, thereby saving Google hundreds of millions. And thence on today's fame of AlphaGo. Clearly the purchase of DeepMind was a strategic brilliancy, as DeepMind encompasses the biggest AI research group in the world that has an academic-like environment while being a commercial entity. So let's read this paper, which is kind of an interesting publication recently. Google is finding ways to make money from Alpha's DeepMind AI technology. There's the CEO, well known, Demis Hassabis. Google's parent company Alphabet is increasingly commercializing the technology coming out of its artificial intelligence research unit DeepMind 4 years after acquiring it. Earlier this week, Google's cloud business announced a new service that converts blocks of text into natural language speech, the first product containing DeepMind code that's for sale. The new Google Cloud text-to-speech application programming interface costs $16 for every 1 million characters of text it processes in DeepMind's artificial male and female voices. Alphabet operates other AI research groups, but DeepMind has been doing more futuristic work, like teaching computer systems to beat top-ranked players on the Chinese board game Go. DeepMind is one of Alphabet's so-called other bets, but in pushing the technology closer to Google, commercial applications are becoming more real. At Facebook and Microsoft, AI research groups churn out technology that find their way into marketable products. Google, which generates 99% of Alphabet's revenue, has drawn on DeepMind's software already. In October, the company said its virtual assistant had adopted a DeepMind AI code model called WaveNet to speak more like a real person. In 2016, Google said it had dramatically decreased the expense of cooling its data centers using DeepMind's wizardry. DeepMind has also played a role in personalizing application recommendations in Google's Play Storage Center. There it looks like there's a little bit of a interview here, so we'll take a look at that.
AI is becoming, more and more fashionable these days, and I think it's with good reason, because a lot of the techniques behind AI systems like deep learning are starting to work really well, and starting to appear in our everyday usage, like photo recognition, speech recognition, and so on. So I think we're starting to see AI systems really work in real world products, and I think that trend's going to continue over the next few years.
And how far off do you think we are from true machine learning, like absolute no humans involved?
I think we're still a few years away from getting to the point where these machine learning systems can actually generalize to all sorts of tasks. That's obviously ultimately where we want to go to, but I think we're a little way off from that. But we're already starting to see systems, including things like AlphaGo, that can now start to learn almost from scratch and actually sort of learn from their own mistakes and their own experiences. So that's the whole point of the systems that we build at DeepMind, is that we call them general purpose learning systems. So the idea is that they learn from themselves directly from data or from experience, rather than being told what to do by human programmers. So
as someone who's worked with machines for so long and developed them for so long, have you ever been worried about what that might do for humans?
Yeah, so, this question comes up all the time, obviously, when you work on AI. And, there are some legitimate things that have to be researched, to do with how do we make sure, they have the right goals and they do the right things to achieve those goals. And, people like us and other universities and other companies are also, researching these issues. But actually, the way we think about AI is like a very smart tool, a tool that human experts, whether they're clinicians or scientists, can use to further the work that they're doing, and maybe crunch lots of data that would be too much for the human expert unaided, and surface the insights to the human expert so they can do something creative with that.
Do you think machines could ever have and feel emotions the way humans can and do, connect on that human level?
Yeah, I think it's still an open question, even in neuroscience, how emotions are really embodied in the brain. I don't think there's any reason necessarily that AI systems will have emotions in the way we think of them. I think it partly depends on how we end up designing these systems. So I think it's an open research question for now.
Okay, so who do you have your money on, the man or the machine, for this week?
Well, I think, we can be pretty confident, I think, that AlphaGo is going to play well. I'm just very excited to see actually what creative things Kuji is going to come up with, and to see, to test the machine to the limits.
Have you played AlphaGo?
I have not played AlphaGo, actually. I've analysed, I've seen, hundreds of its games now, but there'll be no point me playing AlphaGo. It's way too strong for me.
So clearly this was filmed and interviewed a way back when the Go Chess Championship took place in China against the Chinese ranking player. Compared to the control where no re-ranking was done, we saw a 20% increase in the gap install rate from the "you might like" suggestions. Google employees, somebody's name which I can't pronounce, wrote in a blog. Within Google service, people can spend money when interacting with the Google Assistant, and they can also pay for apps they discover in the Google Play Store. But a Google Cloud developer tool offering up voice built with WaveNet is a more pronounced example of Google taking advantage of DeepMind smarts. Google's two bigger cloud rivals, Amazon and Microsoft, have both services for turning text into speech. The DeepMind branding associated with the Google service could present an opportunity for premium pricing. The DeepMind powered voices for Google cost 4 times more than a comparable tool from Amazon. Google offers cheaper voices that don't use WaveNet, and it gives away free access for fewer than 1 million characters of text every month. Also, Amazon also has a free tier. Long-term investment? DeepMind has steadily increased its headcount of researchers, and the unit now has 700 employees. Each week, they churn out academic papers describing their latest achievements. There has also been an expansion of DeepMind's relationship with Google. A DeepMind for Google team formed in London, the city where DeepMind is based, in 2014, and a similar team set up shop at Google Silicon Valley headquarters last year. On an earnings call 2 years ago, an analyst from Stanford Bernstein asked about Google Mind as a financial driver. Here's how Google CEO responded. Looking at the pace of progress, I think we will have AI in a form in which it benefits a lot of users in the coming years, but I still think it's early days and there's a long-term investment ahead of us. So clearly that was an incredible insight and purchase by DeepMind, by Google, who bought DeepMind. So that's it. Interesting piece of news. Come back for more.